Most beginner investors lose money because of these mistakes. Don't be one of them. And the first mistake is not investing at all. You would be astonished at how much money people lose out on just from not investing at all. And today I have some heartbreaking stories to tell you. So I was actually working with this one person, and this was back in 2023. It was January 12th, 2023 at like 10 a.m. to be very specific. Now I remember because it hurts me just as much as it hurts him. But anyway, I built him a custom portfolio, and it was a killer portfolio. I spent like 3.5 hours just putting it together. And I'll actually share exactly what companies and what ETFs I said he should buy and what price they were when I told him to buy them. So I'm just looking over here at my notes because I don't have this whole thing memorized. But anyway, it was Apple back when it was $130.73. It is now over 200 and something dollars. Microsoft back when it was $228.85. Look at how much Microsoft is worth now. VOO back when it was $358.87. It's in the 500s now. VGT back when it was $326.15. I think that's in the 600s right now. Google back when it was $88.42. It is like $199, if not $200 at the time of me recording this video. Amazon when it was $89.87. And Nvidia, the one that I was just telling you about in the last video that made me a lot of money, back when it was $159.09. And this, my friends, was before the split. And if you're not familiar with what a stock split is, just know that at one time Nvidia was $159 and then it shot up to over $1,000. And then the company split, and ever since it split, it has not, at least at the time of me recording this video, exceeded $159, which means if you would have invested in Nvidia at that time, you would have made a lot of money. And for the sake of this video, I'm not going to show you exactly how many shares of which I told him to buy of each, because that specific formula is reserved for the WJC community. But long story short, bro, he missed out on, like, I have the number right here, $67,283.10. That's someone's salary right there that he missed out on. So I tell you the story, not to shame this person, not to say that they're crazy for not doing this. The thing is this: there is risk that comes with investing, but are you going to allow your fear to talk you out of $67,000+? Because I won't. I told you that story to paint a real life picture that you need to have confidence in yourself, that you are investing in the right things. That's why I'm so big on telling you about how important education is when it comes to investing in the stock market, because that's going to give you confidence. Because ironically, not having confidence leads to you having fear of losing money in the stock market. But the thing is, I've seen people lose way more money in the stock market by not investing than investing into risky assets, believe it or not. And I've lost money in the stock market. I've lost a few thousand in the stock market, but it made me a better investor, and I learned from my mistakes. And I have since recouped the amount of money that I lost and made way more than what I lost. Which leads me to the next mistake that you want to avoid as a beginner investor, and that is selling too soon. I have yet another heartbreaking story for you. So imagine this scenario. Imagine you work for a company and you've been there for years, and they decide to give you a portion of company stock, and they give you 100 shares of their stock. And let's say the shares are about $90 each. And when you first get them, you can't sell them right away, but once they mature, you can sell them at any time, or you can just continue holding them. But you decide that you're going to go ahead and sell them because you're like, that's a quick 9,000. I'm going to go ahead and take that real quick. Now that's a nice chunk of change, but imagine realizing that if you would have held it until now, it would have been $3,420.19 per share. That'll make a grown man cry. The company was AutoZone. And this is something that happened to one of my family members. And I was like, wait a minute. You sold every single one of them? He was like, yeah, because at the time I felt it was necessary. And I was like, you know how much they're worth now? He was like, how much? And I told him how much they were worth now, and he told me it shattered him to learn that, to even find that out. I told you this type of thing could make a grown man cry. His response was, but Reggie, I didn't know. And that's what I'm getting at here. These investing mistakes are coming from a place of not knowing enough about the stock market and being too hesitant, too apprehensive, too fearful to invest in the stock market. I don't judge a single person because I used to be the same way. I was too afraid to invest in the stock market. But the difference is I continued to educate myself until I felt comfortable, and I actually started investing in the stock market and seeing the returns and kicking myself ever since for not investing prior to that. Not investing sooner than that. And that's why I created this community called Wealth Journey Collective, which I teach people from all walks of life how to build wealth from scratch up to your first $100,000 in net worth and beyond that. It's a great community, it's low cost, and it's very high value, and we have weekly Zoom calls where we have conversations about whatever you want to talk about, whatever question you may have about stocks or how to invest, and things that are even relevant to the investing class that I have on that platform. So if you're interested, check it out in the link in the description, because you will learn how to invest safely in there. And here's a bonus message that I just want to give you. I want you to really understand just how dangerous not really knowing what you're doing or not really understanding investing before putting your money into it actually is. It leads to emotional responses. So we talked about not investing at all. We talked about selling too soon. Those were emotional responses, but it can get a lot worse than that. Not knowing that much about investing can make you have an emotional response of following the hype train of some investment that you've never heard of and put a bunch of your money into it. Some people will put their whole life savings into it as a way to make up for lost time and lost money that they feel like they should have had years ago, and they might feel like they're so financially behind. Screw it, I'm just going to throw money into there, and boom. That could lead to you losing everything, or cutting your life savings in half, cutting it into a fraction, into a decimal point. So it can result in a way of you losing what you currently have or losing what future you is supposed to have. And I'll tell you another heartbreaking story, and this one actually has to do with me. So I used to be heavily invested in the two companies. One was Square, which is also called Block nowadays, and PayPal. I can't remember exactly which amount, so I'll put a screenshot here so you can see exactly how much I lost. But I got burnt on those two. I lost like 3.5 thousand each on that. So I think it was a little over $7,000 that I ended up actually losing. And honestly, I was bent about that. I was so upset, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some more research. Did more research. I was like, okay, based off of this research, I'm just going to cut these stocks and cut my losses, because I was invested in the other things at the time that I really saw a bright future in. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to give up on investing. I'm just going to sell these two and just take the loss on it, because I have to redirect the rest of this money that I have left and put it into something that's going to make up for this mess. And guess what? It did in less than a year. And it was beautiful to see, honestly. It really was. But it was because I had knowledge and I had information about what to do. So even someone knowledgeable can make mistakes in the stock market, but it's all about what you do about it. But if you rely on your knowledge and you continue expanding said knowledge, you will continue to get better and better at investing, and you'll understand what you did wrong, and you will learn from your mistakes. And if you take a close look at the stock market, you'll see a lot of dips, but you'll also see a lot of growth and a lot of spikes. And what you'll see is a lot of these businesses and ETFs and these companies in general, they learn from their mistakes that caused the dip in the first place. So they adapt. And we as investors, beginner investor or not, we have to learn how to adapt to what's going on and learn from our mistakes. Even if that means cutting your losses, even if that means addressing your emotional responses, even if that means buying another book or learning from somebody who knows more than you about it. We have to do what we have to do to best understand how the market works. And with Nvidia, when I was buying it, the price kept going down. It was like 200, then it was like 260. Then I was like, okay, this is great. Then it starts dropping to like 150 and like lower. I'm like, oh, I want to just keep buying more. But I did the research in the company, so I understood it. And I could have sold it then, but then I would have been hot with myself because right then is where something crazy happened. It was $700, then it was $1,000. And I was like, oh man, I see it for Nvidia. But by then, I had been buying it on the way down anyway. So when it spiked, I was just really happy because it solidified and confirmed that what I was thinking and what I researched was true about it. And that was right before the stock split. So I made a lot of money with Nvidia. But if I didn't know any better and I didn't know anything about Nvidia and was putting a crazy amount of money in there and I just withdrew my money, I would have, one, lost money that was currently into the investment, and two, I would have missed out on a significant amount of money that I would have had just if I would have held on just a little while longer to that stock. So those are two real life examples of me. One is heartbreaking and one is uplifting. That's what I wanted to leave you with today. But if you like this video, you will love this video. You can check it out right here.